we got another Jordan Peele horror film in our mix. Is it any good? Let's find out. What's going on, everyone? Welcome to Movie Emporium's spoiler-filled discussion / ending explains to Jordan Peele's Nope. So as I always say with this review, I'm not doing a non-spoiler review. I'm going to talk about this in the spoiler discussion / ending explains. I feel, the movie's out, so, now we can talk about it in a spoiler sense. But this is a Jordan Peele film, so there's a lot of subtext and a lot of context to talk about. I'll probably miss some things, which you guys will point out in the comments, which I do appreciate. But I will go into some details on what I think is happening in this film, to an extent from what I can see in my view of what Jordan Peele does, which is take very huge swipes at certain ideologies and ideas and stuff like that. That is definitely prevalent in this movie. So it is a spoiler discussion. If you have not seen the movie, please come back and we'll have a discussion, all that good stuff. And so as we know with Jordan Peele, this is his third film. It's another horror film, or this time a sci-fi alien film if you think about it. It's a film that is part of Jordan Peele's now horror repertoire. We had Get Out and Us, which were hugely successful and popular and stuff like that. So it was safe to say that we were very anticipating this movie. And basically it deals with a couple of horse ranchers, Keke Palmer, and of course Daniel Kaluuya play the brother and sister of a father who is well known in Hollywood as a horse wrangler. Their horses and stuff like that are very famous. And the father unfortunately passes away. It is spoiler discussion. The father passes away, and who's played by Keith David. And as they start selling off their property, they start noticing something in the sky. Something kind of, it's one of those things where you see it like very quickly and it just disappears. And what that thing is not what you would expect of something that is being considered an alien invasion movie, but it's a movie with a lot of interesting subtext about what exactly that thing is, how the Daniel Kaluuya OJ character and the Keke Palmer Emerald character really try to use that to their advantage to become famous, because now they're struggling because their dad has died and no one trusts them in Hollywood. And so this film is another one of those films that has a lot going on in it. It's, like I said, it deals with like an alien situation. It also deals with the hot state of Hollywood and the people working in the Hollywood system. And it's a movie that really has a lot of moving parts. We have a character named Angel in this movie who works for Fry Electronics, who of course it's a very famous company. He comes into the mix as the guy who becomes like the computer tech. We also have Michael Wincott, who's a famous director that has a lot of subtext running through his character. And they are on a quest to basically photograph and become famous off this alien tech or whatever this alien thing is. But it has a really interesting dichotomy behind it, because we also have Steven Yeun's character, who is an individual that runs this kind of over-the-top, silly-looking Western setting place. It's very colorful and stuff like that. But he's holding a secret that plays out through the movie and so on and so forth. And his character plays a pivotal part to kind of what Jordan Peele is trying to say about in this situation. But like I said, this whole idea of like aliens and stuff like that is just kind of surface level content that is going on in this movie. And so that's kind of the synopsis for this movie, because it's a movie where it's an interesting movie to go into because it didn't give a lot away. Yes, there was stuff about the aliens and stuff like that was being shown in the trailers, but for the most part, similar to like Us and Get Out, Jordan Peele and the trailer company are pretty good at keeping secrets hidden. And as you watch this movie, the secrets that start kind of pulling out on one another it makes it for a very fascinating adventure. It doesn't mean it's perfect. I don't think this is a perfect movie. I think it's, once again shows that Jordan Peele may be going a little too obtuse in his kind of storytelling. He's trying to sell a lot of things, but sometimes it falls by the wayside to do, to really get into that subtext. And I think Get Out was so perfect in the simple fact that it was able to tell the idea of the African American culture being overtaken by, white Americans, stuff like that, and how they want to be like them. And there's other context in that movie as well, but it was perfectly blended, and that's why Jordan Peele won the Oscar for best screenplay. But when you look at something like Us, it was really difficult to get into it because it was so heavy-handed, and so it dealt with a lot of things that were, little confusing in a lot of aspects. I get the context and subtext about, the idea of being taken over and stuff like that. When it came to Nope, it really felt like, at least from the trailers, that he was going to go to a little bit easier lengths to tell what he needs to tell. And like I said, after watching this movie, it's a well done movie. It's an entertaining movie. It has a lot of interesting things to say, but it still has those problems like Us has, where it just sometimes the heavy-handed material goes a little too deep and a little too methodical that it sometimes gets lost in translation. And I think that's what's unfortunately happening here. Once again, like Us, the performances of Daniel Kaluuya and of course Keke Palmer are amazing. Of course, Michael Wincott is awesome in this movie. I'm glad that Jordan Peele used him in this movie because he's an actor that's been around forever and stuff like that. But you're kind of wondering, like, what is this movie even about? And I started thinking about this movie after I was watching it. This movie is definitely two different things I see from a perspective of what Jordan Peele is doing. I feel, and this is my personal opinion, that he doesn't love Hollywood as much as you think he does. He's an individual that is using the idea of you look at the beginning of this movie and you look at like how, the father dies, the Keith David character dies by a bunch of stuff, gets stuff like hits his head, a bunch of coins and falls and injects himself into his brain. He dies, of course, of that. And you see this kind of everybody who is in Hollywood that they bring the horses in to use for, I don't know if it's like a TV series or a commercial. They're all individuals of like really disturbed nature when it comes to the Hollywood system. They are very uppity and very, just not good people. And they actually treat the Daniel Kaluuya character like an idiot, basically, because he's not really used to being around this system. He does what he does because he had his father for help. But it takes a person like Keke Palmer's character to come in and kind of settle things. But the thing about what Jordan Peele does with Hollywood is he shows how difficult it is for African Americans or Black American individuals to find their place in this culture. You watch movies and you watch how difficult it is for them to get, for African American individuals or even, Asian American individuals or anybody of a different culture that is not white America. And you see how difficult it is for them to get roles, to keep jobs, to, win Oscars, to get nominated for Oscars. And there's a lot of subtext and content that Jordan Peele is throwing out in there into the mix. And it shows very much throughout this entire movie. It shows, with how the Stephen Yeun character acts, when we find out about his back history, which I'll talk about. We see, like I said, in the beginning when Michael Wincott's character is filming whatever he's filming, and you have like the ingenue woman or whatever she is and how she acts, and Daniel Kaluuya's character is trying to warn them about being careful with the horses because they're unpredictable. They can do stuff that will really hurt you, and they don't listen, and you can kind of see it start to kind of unfold upon itself when they put with the reflecting ball, which helps them with like visual work and stuff like that, and they put it in front of the eye of the horse, and it freaks the horse out, and it causes the horse to back kick and stuff like that, which causes them to lose their job, which I thought was really fascinating. But that's the kind of stuff you see in this. They have to go to extreme lengths to even get noticed because they are basically put to the side. They bring in this object, this kind of fake horse, to be the stand-in for the digital horse they're going to put in there. And that's really telling if you think about it. And it's on top of that, it also deals with how new technology and new things and ways that things are being presented push out that old way of life. You see them bring in the fake CGI horses they're going to put in there. They bring the horses out. The horses are being sold to like the Stephen Yeun's like world that he lives in, stuff like that, with his this theme park that he has. And you see how, like I said, like how fake that is and whatnot. And you start to see like just how individuals just get pushed by the wayside in the end, and just how old technology and old ideas are just being confronted. And it's the same thing with like practical effects. If it wasn't for like J.J. Abrams and stuff like that for bringing in practical effects, CGI is already running rampant. But you can see like the dichotomy of using an actual horse versus a non-actual horse, and it's just, I thought that was really interesting. There's more levels to that than I'm not getting to because it's just stuff I even missed, but I thought that was kind of fascinating. But the other thing that is very fascinating about this is the idea of the world that is how we perceive us as alphas in our view of the world, how we think we're like the end all be all of society and stuff like that. And I think what Jordan Peele is doing, I'm probably wrong, maybe a little bit. I hope I'm getting some of this right. I think Jordan Peele is showing us, and he shows it through like the footage that Michael Wincott's character watches, the idea of what Daniel Kaluuya kind of presents in this world of this alien thing or this living creature or whatever. And he explains about how you don't look at it in the eye eye, because what the funny thing about culture in life is the people that control the world, people control society, you are fighting to have some control in that world. And you see it in this movie where the people that are fighting for control, the people that are trying to survive, are the ones that are getting eaten alive. You know, you look at like the instance with the monkey that you see throughout this movie that doesn't make any sense at first until you think about it. The idea of the animal world and how unpredictable it is the same thing with the idea of just like you live in a world where you're afraid to stand up to the big thing, the creature, because you know that creature has more power than you do. And I thought that was really fascinating when you think about it, because if you think about any sideshow character, like you look at the monkey or I can't remember the name of the monkey in this, but you look at the monkey in this movie, or you look at the alien creature, they subvert more power, and the idea of more power is something that has always been put down on a minority or somebody who is of a different race. And you see that in this because you see, like, for instance, Daniel Kaluuya's character finally figure out not to stare at it, because if he stares at it, it will kill him. And that's the same thing that's happening with like the monkey. You know, people tend to abuse power, and it comes back to bite them in the ass. So that's why the monkey creature is so important to the integral part of the story, where it becomes so out of control, and the rage, and you know, the idea that they're mishandling it. If you mishandle certain things, it will come back and destroy you. And that's what happens with the monkey in this movie, where he comes back and he destroys the people that are the actors. You see the young girl as Steven Yeun's like big unveiling of what he thinks alien technology is, and she's like disfigured. So that disfigurement is kind of an idea of just like, be careful what you do and how you do it, because they even point out Siegfried and Roy, where they're like, you act like you're the dominant force, but that dominant force may not be what you think, and it could turn on you. You know, it's every day in the animal kingdom world. Once again, like I said, the Michael Wincott character is watching a bunch of footage of like, you know, dominant animals being taken down by other dominant animals, and it's really crazy to think about, because the idea when you see, you know, this alien tech creature, which we find out is a living, breathing creature that's feeding off people and feeding off this world, because it is a dominant creature, is taking hold of people, and it's using it for fuel and power. And you know, the idea of if you work at a big conglomerate company and you see how they use you and spit you up and bleed you out and stuff like that. That's kind of what's happening here. And the idea that Daniel Kaluuya's character and Keke Palmer, Michael Wincott, and the Angel character are able to find a way to kind of devise a way to, you know, make popularity off of it by filming it, but also kind of work its way around to tricking it to, you know, believe in what they want to believe in. And at the end of this movie, Michael Wincott, who becomes, you know, he becomes self-absorbed with the thing, he finds out that he's going to pay the price. But of course, Daniel Kaluuya's character and Keke Palmer, and of course Angel to an extent, survive. They're using the power for their own gain, and they found a way to subvert or subvert, or whatever you want to call it, the power of that. And I thought that was really interesting too. And like I said, there's more to it too when it comes to the levels, that they're much deeper levels than what I'm even getting into, like I said, because I'm probably missing things. But I thought the idea of using like the animal world and how powerful that animal world is, and how you never know when that animal world is going to come back and bite you in the ass, and it's going to take over, and you know, having a much larger, much more dangerous entity, and having that kind of subvert and subvert all the ideas of like, you know, us living in a world where we feel like we're powerless because we have some bigger person in front of us that, you know, is taking everything we owe. That's really interesting stuff, and it actually made me enjoy this movie a lot, because, you know, like I said, I'll probably go back and watch this and find even more stuff that I didn't even think about. But, you know, on the surface level, it's a fun alien invasion movie. It's a fun movie about, you know, individuals trying to figure out a way to survive, and then on top of that, profit off of it, which is, you know, another thing about Hollywood, which is, you know, or just in general, you know, like TMZ pops up in this, which I thought was really funny, how we're willing to chase the almighty dollar to get what we need, but sometimes that almighty dollar is something that will bite us in the ass, like I keep saying, and it's pretty prevalent here. And I thought that was, you know, once again, really interesting, really intriguing. I think I like, you know, how Jordan Peele like twists and turns the ideologies of what he's trying to present and what he believes. And he may not like truly hate like the Hollywood system and stuff like that, but he sure does present it in a way where, you know, the idea at like the very end of Us with them holding hands and stuff like that is very much like that Coca-Cola ad, where it feels like they're selling the world on something, and it just, I don't know. I really enjoyed it. Like I said, it's really interesting. So in the end, like the end of this movie, Keke Palmer's character Emerald gets a picture of this, it's kind of like a cool, like arrival style, like alien creature. It kind of morphs and stuff like that. It's definitely, everything it looks at is definitely attentive and going after to eat them and stuff like that. And, once they look away, it kind of focuses itself on something else. And I thought that was a really cool thing. So overall, I really did enjoy this movie. It has problems when it comes to just the nature of what Jordan Peele likes to do. Sometimes he likes to be a little too obtuse in his storytelling and his writing. But once you get into the deeper layers and deeper context and subtext of the movie, you start to see some really interesting things. And I found that just kind of an interesting, fun, kind of weird experience, I guess you could say, in a lot of ways. And, like I said, the idea, my friend or one of the people I know was having so much confusion when it came to the monkey situation, with the set and stuff like that, with why Stephen Yeun is the way he is, and how he kind of, when he decides to abuse that power, it comes back to bite him in the ass, like we see in the movie. So there is some interesting visuals, some disturbing visuals and stuff like that inside the actual space alien creature. But once again, it is a Jordan Peele movie, so there is a lot there. So. And with that said, that is going to be my spoiler discussion / ending explains. Once again, I know there's a lot more to talk about. I'm sure I missed a lot. Please let me know in the comments what you think overall. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong, but this is how I feel about the movie, so let me know in the comments. But anyways, if you like what you see in this channel, awesome. Hit the subscribe button to join Movie Emporium. Hit that notification bell top to find what's coming next. If you like this video, awesome. Hit that like button, and as always, we'll see you guys on the next video. Peace out.